Here's something you probably know, but might be puzzled about at the same time. Revenue in consulting firms is not equally distributed. 95% of all consulting businesses plateau between $500,000 to $2 million revenue, with owners working 60 to 80-hour weeks just to maintain their current level. And I know this sounds harsh, but it's reality. The top 5% of consulting firms scale effortlessly, while their owners work fewer hours, not more. Once you understand why this happens, you can use this knowledge to completely transform your firm. And I'm going to show you exactly why most consulting firm owners stay limited by what I call the operator trap, and how the successful few escape it entirely. We'll cover the systems that allow top firms to operate without constant owner involvement, the strategic growth framework that actually works for consultancy businesses, and most importantly of all, how to build a firm that grows when you're not there. To start, let me show you the fundamental difference between how trapped owners think about their business versus how liberated owners structure theirs. Having started, grown and sold 3 consulting firms personally, I can tell you the shift required isn't what most owners expect. My name is Greg Roworth, and as well as selling my 3 firms successfully over the last 20 years, I've helped other consulting firm owners double their firm's revenues while reducing their personal work hours and involvement in their firm, so they only worked when they wanted. For example, when I first started working with Helene from Higby Schaeffler, she was working 70-hour weeks in her 7-person firm and was feeling overwhelmed, not knowing how to change her situation. Revenue had plateaued, profits were borderline, and she couldn't see any way other than working even harder. Sound familiar? Well, let me tell you that within 18 months of starting to work with me, she had doubled her revenue past the 7-figure level and with fewer people on her team, simply by working strategically instead of reactively. More importantly, the work we did also set up her business in a way that enabled her to stop working 70-hour weeks and instead created the freedom that allowed her to virtually take a full year off while she cared for her new baby. And the business kept growing successfully while she took time out. In this video, I'm going to share the exact framework I call the Strategic Authority Marketing System that made this transformation possible. And if you want to go deeper into that framework, take a look in the description below for the link to the guidebook called Strategic Authority Marketing that will take what I'm talking about in this video even further and show you step by step how to implement that system into your business. But before we dive into that system, first you need to understand something that most consulting firm owners never realize. Everyone talks about working smarter, not harder. But what does that really mean? The reality is that working harder actually reinforces dependency. Your firm becomes ever more reliant on you when you're doing that. Working smarter means creating leverage, and the best way to do that is to strategically build authority in your market. And here's what that looks like. When I analyze consulting firms, there are really only 2 categories. There's the 95% who are stuck in what I call the operator trap, where the business starts to go backwards if the owner ever takes time off, and the 5% who have built what I call authority-based businesses, where revenue flows from their reputation and their systems, not from just their personal effort. Let me paint you a picture. When Damien from Proactive IT Solutions first came to me, he was frustrated and completely overwhelmed. His firm had been stuck at the same revenue level for 3 years. He'd tried working with other business coaches, he'd made minor improvements, but nothing moved the needle significantly. Why? Because everyone was telling him to work on his lead generation processes, his team's sales skills, and his purchasing practices. All important stuff, but they missed the fundamental issue. They were dealing with symptoms of the problem, but I dealt with the root cause. Chasing every sales opportunity creates complexity in your business, but strategically establishing authority creates selectivity and leverage. Think about this. When a potential client needs a consulting firm, how do they find one? There are really only 5 ways: referrals from their network, Google searches, LinkedIn research, industry rankings, and media coverage. And here's the brutal truth. Every single one of these discovery methods favours consulting firms that have already established authority in their space. The firms that are already visible get the majority of inbound inquiries. Once they decide to take on a project or pass on the opportunity, the next tier then gets those opportunities. For everyone else, they're fighting for the scraps, competing on price and churning out endless proposals. If you've ever felt like you're doing exceptional work but struggling to get noticed, this explains exactly why. It's not about your expertise, it's about your authority and your positioning in the market. In every consulting niche, there are 4 levels of market position. The first level are service providers. They deliver good work, but compete primarily on price and availability. They chase every RFP and hope that something sticks. At the second level, we have specialists. They focus on a specific area, but still rely heavily on referrals and networking, and therefore revenue is inconsistent. At the third level, we have recognised experts. They have some reputation in their field. They tend to be getting leads through speaking at events or maybe writing articles. Business is more predictable, but it still requires constant business development. And finally, at level 4, we have strategic authority. This is where the magic really happens. The firms with authority are seen as the go-to experts in their specific domain. Prospects approach them, not the other way around. They can charge premium rates and be selective about who their clients are. The shift from level 3 to level 4 is where consulting firms typically double their revenue while the owner reduces their hours. Why? Because being the strategic authority changes everything about how your business operates. When Shelley Thompson came to me, she was running 2 businesses and constantly busy working in them instead of on them. Her marketing was scattered, she was chasing prospects who weren't particularly a good fit, and she was wasting enormous amounts of time on proposals for clients who were shopping around. The transformation happened when we implemented what I call the Strategic Authority Marketing System, which has 5 interconnected steps that position you as the obvious choice in your market. Step 1 is about authority positioning. This isn't about broad positioning. It's about becoming known for solving one specific high-value problem better than anyone else. When Helene repositioned her firm from a remuneration consultant to the remuneration strategy advisory firm, everything changed. Instead of being asked to do transactional role pricing work a lot of the time, she positioned her firm as the only option in a very specific category. Your authority position should be so specific that when someone hears it, they immediately know if it's relevant to them or not. Here's the test. Can you describe what you do in one sentence that makes your ideal client lean forward and say, "That's exactly what I need"? Step 2 is about intellectual property creation. Every successful consulting firm has proprietary methodologies, but most never package them properly. You need to take your approach and turn it into teachable, memorable frameworks that clients can't get anywhere else. Look at what you already do when you help clients succeed. There's a pattern there, a sequence of steps or principles that you always come back to. That pattern is your intellectual property. Name it. Create a simple visual for it. Make it something clients can explain to their colleagues. I did this with strategic authority marketing. The principles of building authority aren't new, but by packaging them into a specific methodology for consulting firms, it became something unique that clients remember and refer others to. Step 3 is about building your content authority system. This is where most consulting firms get it wrong. They create random content and hope something sticks, but authority building content follows a specific journey. At the beginning, you need attention-getting content, big insights packaged into easily consumable posts, industry observations, contrarian viewpoints, frameworks that make people stop and think. Then you need education content. This is where you teach prospects the best way to solve their most pressing problems. When I share exactly how strategic authority marketing works, hundreds of consulting firm owners engage with that content. Why? Because it proves I actually know what I'm talking about. Following that, you need social proof content, case studies and results that show your methodology delivers. But here's the key. Proof content only works effectively after your potential clients have taken the first few steps on the pathway towards getting to know you. They need to know that you are the authority in solving their problems and that you have a different approach than others to solve them before they need to know who else you've worked with. Step 4 is about authority-based offers. Once you have authority positioning, you can create what I call a demand acceleration system. Start with high-value free resources that showcase your thinking. Then offer low-risk ways for clients to experience your methodology, maybe through a diagnostic or a strategy session. Your premium offering becomes a natural next step for clients who want full implementation. This isn't about maximizing revenue from day one. It's about building a system that takes prospects from discovery to long-term partnership. Step 5 is strategic amplification. Every interaction should reach multiple people and not just once. Speaking at industry events or guesting on podcasts, writing articles, creating video content, these are all what I call one-to-many activities, and the multiplicity of each of those delivery modes means that people get to experience you more frequently. A single podcast appearance can equal 6 months of networking conversations. A LinkedIn article or a YouTube video reaches thousands of potential clients. Unlike a single sales meeting, this content keeps working for you 24/7. When Damien implemented this framework, something remarkable happened. Within 12 months, his firm had almost doubled its turnover, and more importantly, his profitability increased dramatically because he wasn't competing on price anymore, and his cost of operations was so much better because of the increased efficiency. Prospects were coming to him as a recognized expert, not shopping around for the cheapest option. Here's what happens when you become the strategic authority in your space. You stop chasing prospects and start attracting them. You stop competing on price and start commanding premium rates. Your revenue becomes predictable because clients seek you out for your expertise, not your availability. Most importantly, you break free from the owner dependency cycle. Your firm's value isn't tied to your personal hours anymore. It's tied to your intellectual property and the systemized marketing that creates clients on command. So let me ask you this. If a potential client in your target market has a critical challenge right now, how would they discover that yours is the right firm to solve it? Are you visible enough in their research process? Are you positioned as the obvious choice? Because that's exactly what strategic authority marketing does for consulting firms. You become the destination and opportunities flow to you instead of you having to chase them. If you'd like to go deeper into this process and learn the step-by-step process to implement strategic authority marketing in your business, check the description below for the link to my free guidebook called Strategic Authority Marketing. and take access or get access to that right now so that you can get to work on changing your business from being owner dependent to becoming leveraged and becoming an asset that you can use to create freedom and prosperity for yourself through your business.